Have you ever felt like life was testing you? When everything you cared about started to fall apart, your plans, your peace, the people you trusted, and no matter what you did, nothing stayed in place. Those moments break most people. They get angry, anxious, desperate. But a few learn something different. They learn stillness. They learn the ancient art of being calm in the middle of chaos. That art is Stoicism. Stoicism isn't about pretending not to feel. It's not about becoming cold or detached. It's about feeling everything: love, pain, joy, fear, and still choosing peace. It's emotional mastery, not emotional numbness. 2,000 years ago, men like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus lived through storms most of us couldn't imagine: betrayal, exile, sickness, loss, war. And yet they found peace. They discovered that while we can't control what happens, we can always control how we respond. Marcus wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every obstacle, every heartbreak, every delay can become your path forward if you let it." This philosophy isn't ancient history. It's for you. It's for the heartbreak at 2 a.m, the fear before a meeting, the frustration when someone disrespects you. Stoicism teaches you to stay grounded when life tries to shake you. To be emotionally untouchable doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means your feelings no longer control you. You can walk through fire and not lose yourself in the flames. There are habits that build this strength. Stoic habits, small daily practices that turn chaos into clarity. The first begins not in the body but in the mind. Habit 1, negative visualization, premeditatio malorum. Every morning before Marcus Aurelius faced the empire's chaos, he sat in silence and imagined everything that could go wrong. He thought about the people who would test his patience, the failures that might happen, the losses that could appear without warning. He called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. He wasn't being pessimistic. He was preparing his mind for reality. He knew that expecting life to be easy is the surest way to suffer. So he practiced difficulty in his thoughts before it arrived in real life. Imagine doing this yourself. You wake up, and before the noise of the world reaches you, you take one quiet breath and picture the challenges ahead. Someone might insult you. A plan might fall apart. Something you love might not last. You accept that these things can happen. And in doing so, you remove their power to surprise you. Seneca wrote, "He robs present ills of their power who has seen their coming beforehand." When you imagine loss, your comfort, your possessions, your status, even the people you love, something shifts inside you. You stop taking things for granted. You see how fragile everything is, and gratitude floods in. A woman doesn't get the job she hoped for. Instead of breaking down, she smiles gently and says, "Maybe this is life protecting me from something I can't see yet." A man stuck in traffic whispers, "This could be worse. I'm still here. I'm still breathing." That's Stoicism in motion, not an escape from reality, but an embrace of it. Negative visualization doesn't make you numb, it makes you grateful. It turns loss into appreciation. When you've already imagined losing what you love, you stop clinging to it out of fear. You start loving it more freely, more deeply, more presently. Try it tomorrow morning. Before touching your phone, close your eyes. Picture something you love and imagine, gently, that it's gone. Feel that ache. Don't run from it. Sit with it. Then open your eyes. Everything will look softer, brighter, more alive. When you've faced loss in your mind, real loss can't destroy you. When you've accepted chaos, peace becomes your natural state. Only those who have faced death in their thoughts truly know how to live. Habit 2. The dichotomy of control. There are two kinds of things in life: the things we can control and the things we can't. Epictetus, a man born a slave who rose to become one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, began his entire philosophy with this truth. He said, "Some things are in our control and others are not." It sounds simple, but if you truly understand it, it can free you from 90% of your suffering. You can't control what people think of you. You can't control whether the world is fair. You can't control how others behave or how life unfolds. But you can control how you act, how you think, how you respond. That's where emotional freedom begins. Imagine this: an athlete trains for years for a competition. On the big day, it rains and the track is slippery. Another competitor cheats. The crowd is loud and unfair. The athlete feels the anger rising. But then he takes a breath and remembers Epictetus's words: the rain, the noise, the crowd. None of that is under his control, but his effort, his focus, his attitude, that belongs to him. He runs anyway, giving his best, not because victory is guaranteed, but because integrity is. That's Stoicism in action, a quiet rebellion against frustration. Every day, countless moments pull at your peace. Someone cuts you off in traffic, a friend disappoints you, the world doesn't meet your expectations. You can spend your energy trying to fix everything that's not yours to fix. Or you can turn inward and master what's truly yours, your response. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, your life becomes lighter. You stop carrying the weight of everyone's opinions. You stop fighting every wave and learn to ride them. So the next time something goes wrong, pause and ask yourself one question. Is this within my control? If it is, act. If it isn't, release it. That single question can change how you live. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." True power doesn't come from controlling the world. It comes from controlling yourself. And in that control, you become untouchable. Habit 3. Voluntary discomfort. Comfort is a beautiful trap. It feels good, warm, safe, familiar, but it quietly makes you weak. The Stoics knew this, and they trained against it. They practiced voluntary discomfort, deliberately choosing small hardships to prepare for greater ones. Musonius Rufus, one of Stoicism's great teachers, would sleep on hard floors and eat simple food, not because he enjoyed pain, but because he wanted to stay free from dependence on luxury. He believed that if comfort owns you, then comfort controls you. In the modern world, comfort surrounds us: hot showers, soft beds, food on demand, endless entertainment. But comfort without challenge breeds fragility, and fragility is the enemy of resilience. Voluntary discomfort isn't about punishing yourself. It's about reminding your mind and body that you can survive with less. It's about taking away life's small luxuries sometimes, so you're never ruled by them. Take a cold shower. Leave your phone in another room. Skip a meal. Walk instead of driving. Speak up when you're afraid. Sleep without the fan. It sounds small, but each time you step willingly into discomfort, you build a quiet kind of strength. Seneca used to say, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, saying to yourself, 'Is this the condition that I feared?' When you do this, you begin to realize how little you truly need to be okay. You discover that the world doesn't end when things get hard. You learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. In a time where everyone seeks convenience, choosing discomfort is rebellion. It's saying, I don't need the world to be perfect to be strong, because when life does get hard, and it will, you won't be shaken. You'll recognize that feeling, that cold, that hunger, that uncertainty. You've been there before, and you'll smile. Voluntary discomfort teaches you not to depend on ease, but to depend on your inner strength. And when you no longer fear discomfort, you no longer fear life. Habit 4. Journaling, evening reflection. Every night, when the world grew quiet and the lamps dimmed, Marcus Aurelius would sit alone with his thoughts. Not as an emperor, not as a philosopher, but as a man trying to understand himself. He would open his journal and write, not for the public, not for praise, but for truth. His writings would later become Meditations, one of the most powerful books ever written on self-mastery. But at the time, they were simply letters to his own soul. He asked himself questions. What did I do wrong today? What did I do right? What can I do better tomorrow? That was Stoic journaling, not about documenting your day, but examining your mind. In a world full of distractions, journaling is your mirror. It's where you face your fears without judgment, where you untangle the noise inside you. Most people drift through life without understanding why they do what they do. But a Stoic stops every evening and looks inward, like a warrior cleaning his sword after battle. Imagine this, you sit on your bed at night, the lights low, your phone far away. You open a notebook and write honestly, about your anger, your pride, your gratitude, your mistakes. You don't try to sound wise, you just tell the truth. As you write, something soft happens. The mind, once chaotic, starts to settle. The weight you've been carrying starts to lift. You realize how many battles today weren't worth fighting. You see where you were strong and where you weren't. Seneca said, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said." He called it a moral inventory, a daily practice that sharpens the soul. Modern therapy, mindfulness, and mental health practices have rediscovered what the Stoics already knew. You can't control your emotions until you understand them, and writing them down is the first step to mastery. So tonight, don't scroll, don't escape, just sit down and write. Even 2 sentences. Ask yourself, what moved me today? What tested me? What made me proud? Journaling isn't about recording your life, it's about reclaiming it. Every page is a conversation with your higher self, the version of you that refuses to be ruled by chaos. And when you wake up the next morning, you'll see that peace doesn't come from the world being calm. It comes from you being clear. Habit 5, Amor Fati, the love of fate. Most people fight life. They resist what happens to them, they cling to what was and fear what's coming. But the Stoic does something radically different. He says yes to everything. This is Amor Fati, the love of fate. Nietzsche would later call it the ultimate expression of strength, but it began with the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius, facing war and plague, wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." That's what Amor Fati means, to take everything life throws at you and burn it into fuel. A relationship ends, you lose a job, you fall sick. Most people curse fate, but the Stoic whispers, "This too is part of my story." Amor Fati doesn't mean pretending to enjoy pain. It means seeing meaning in it. It's understanding that every event, good or bad, shapes you into who you're meant to become. Imagine a man whose flight gets delayed. He could rage, complain, waste hours in bitterness. Instead, he opens a book, calls his mother, reflects on the rare stillness. Maybe that delay saved him from something unseen. Maybe it gave him exactly what he needed. A pause. When you stop fighting reality, life stops feeling like an enemy. You begin to move with it, not against it. Seneca wrote, "Fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling. If you resist, you suffer twice. Once from the event, and once from your refusal to accept it." Amor Fati teaches you to say, "I may not have chosen this, but I choose to make it mine." That's power. That's peace. Because the person who loves fate, who looks at every challenge and says, "This is for me, not against me," cannot be broken. You start to see beauty in every turn, even in the dark ones. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Thank you for the lesson." And in that surrender, you don't lose control. You gain freedom. When you love your fate, life stops being a series of accidents and starts becoming a masterpiece. Habit 6. Memento mori. Remember, you must die. Every breath you take could be your last. And that's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. The Stoics called it memento mori. Remember that you must die. It wasn't morbid, it was sacred. A reminder that life is short, and that makes it precious. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself each morning, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. To him, death wasn't an ending, it was a teacher. Modern life hides death. We pretend it's far away, something that happens to other people, but the Stoics kept it close. Not to live in fear, but to live with urgency, to waste no time on trivial things, to love fully, forgive quickly, and speak honestly, because tomorrow isn't promised. Imagine waking up and realizing this could be your last sunrise. How would you treat people today? Would you still scroll aimlessly, argue pointlessly, chase what doesn't matter? Or would you finally call that person you miss? Start that project you've been delaying? Look around and whisper, "Thank you for this moment." Epictetus said, "I cannot escape death, but at least I can escape the fear of it." When you accept death, you stop fearing it. And when you stop fearing death, you start living with unmatched clarity. There's power in remembering your impermanence. The little things that annoy you lose their weight. The things that matter, love, time, purpose, start to glow. You realize you're not here forever. None of us are. So you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start living now. Messy, imperfect, real. Memento mori isn't about dying, it's about finally waking up, because when you remember that everything ends, you begin to live like everything matters. Habit 7. Premeditatio laboris. Preparing for the day's difficulties. Before stepping into each day, the Stoics practiced something simple yet profound. Premeditatio laboris, the premeditation of work and struggle. Marcus Aurelius would write in his journal every morning, "Today I will meet people who are selfish, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful." He didn't write that to complain, he wrote it to prepare. He knew that expecting the world to be easy is the quickest way to be disappointed, so he started each day ready. Ready for conflict, ready for rudeness, ready for challenge. And therefore nothing could truly surprise him. Imagine waking up and saying to yourself, "Today, someone might disrespect me. Things might not go my way, but I'll stay calm, I'll stay kind." When you mentally prepare for difficulty, you stop taking hardship personally. You stop being shocked by human behavior. Instead of reacting, you respond. In the modern world, we wake up hoping for a perfect day. And when it's not, we crumble. The Stoic wakes up expecting imperfection. And so, he remains steady. A woman walking into a tense meeting repeats to herself, "They might interrupt me, they might not listen, but I'll stay composed." A man dealing with delays tells himself, "This too is part of the process. I trained for this. Every obstacle becomes part of the plan. Every annoyance, a small test of strength." Seneca said, "He who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." By predicting your frustrations, you rob them of surprise. This habit doesn't make you negative, it makes you unshakable. It turns life into training. The rude person becomes your lesson in patience. The failure becomes your lesson in humility. The delay becomes your lesson in endurance. Before you start your day, take 1 minute. Picture the challenges ahead. Feel them, face them, and tell yourself, "I've already been here in my mind, I'm ready." That's what Stoicism truly is. Mental armor built from understanding, not denial. When you prepare for storms, even the thunder feels like music. Habit 8. Mindful speech, guarding your words. Words are weapons, a medicine. They can heal or they can wound. The Stoics knew this truth deeply. They believed that mastering your tongue is one of the hardest and highest forms of self-control. Epictetus used to say, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Modern life is loud. Everyone wants to be heard. Few want to understand. But the Stoic takes a different path. He pauses before he speaks. He weighs his words like gold. He asks himself, will this help or will this harm? Because once words leave your mouth, they no longer belong to you. Imagine a heated argument, your blood boiling, your pride ready to explode. In that split second, silence is power. You take a breath, let the wave pass, and speak not to win, but to bring peace. That is Stoic mastery. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, refused to let anger dictate his speech. He wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." When someone insulted him, he chose restraint. He chose dignity over dominance. Mindful speech doesn't mean silence. It means choosing words that serve truth, not ego. In a modern context, it could be that text you want to send in anger, but don't. That comment you want to post, but stop. That urge to interrupt, but instead you listen. When you guard your words, you guard your peace. You stop letting your mouth betray your mind. Seneca said, "Any speech shows the measure of the mind. Your words reveal who you are more than your actions sometimes do. So practice speaking less but meaning more. Let your voice be slow, calm, and deliberate. Not because you fear others, but because you respect yourself. When everyone else shouts, be the one who whispers with wisdom. Because true strength isn't in how loud you are, it's in how much silence you can hold before you speak." Habit 9. Reflection through solitude. We live in a world terrified of silence. Every moment has to be filled. Music, conversation, scrolling, noise. But the Stoics sought the opposite. They believed solitude wasn't loneliness. It was clarity. Marcus Aurelius spent hours alone in his tent during war, writing to himself, finding calm in the chaos. Epictetus taught that unless you spend time with yourself, you'll never really know who you are. Solitude is where the noise of the world fades and the truth of your soul begins to speak. It's not about escaping people. It's about returning to yourself. Imagine walking in the park with no headphones, no phone, just the sound of your breath and the rhythm of your steps. At first, your mind will resist. It will reach for distraction, but stay there. After a few minutes, something inside you will soften. The mind stops racing. The heart begins to speak. That's when you meet yourself again. Seneca said, "If you are everywhere, you are nowhere." Solitude brings you back to the center, where peace lives quietly, waiting for your attention. In solitude, you reflect without judgment. You see your habits clearly, your desires honestly. You realize how much of your life is just reaction, noise to please others, to avoid discomfort. A Stoic spends time alone, not to isolate, but to realign. To remember what truly matters. Take even 10 minutes a day. Sit without your phone. No music, no conversation, just stillness. Ask yourself, what am I running from? What am I chasing? What do I really want? You'll find that silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. In solitude, you learn that peace was never out there in the world. It was always within you, waiting for you to finally listen. Habit 10. Gratitude in every moment. Stoic joy. If there is one habit that turns all suffering into strength, it's gratitude. Not the easy kind that comes when life is perfect, but the quiet kind that survives even in pain. The Stoics believed that joy isn't found in having more, but in needing less. They practiced gratitude not as a reaction, but as a discipline, a way of seeing the world. Seneca wrote, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." Marcus Aurelius, despite wars, betrayal, and sickness, still wrote every day about the beauty of the world, the morning light, the kindness of a friend, the simple act of breathing. He saw miracles where others saw monotony. That's Stoic gratitude, not denying pain, but holding it in one hand and beauty in the other. Imagine a man walking home after losing his job. His mind could spiral into panic, but instead he takes a breath. He looks up. The sky is painted in shades of gold. His legs still work. His lungs still fill with air. He whispers to himself, "I still have enough to begin again." That moment, that shift, is freedom. Gratitude doesn't erase your struggles, it reframes them. It reminds you that every challenge carries a hidden gift, a chance to grow, to learn, to become. In the Stoic way, even hardship is an opportunity for thankfulness. A broken heart reminds you how deeply you can love. Failure reminds you that courage still lives within you. Loss reminds you that every breath is borrowed time. The modern world teaches us to chase happiness. Stoicism teaches us to recognize it. Right here, in the quiet, ordinary moments we overlook. When you train your eyes to see what's good, you stop drowning in what's missing. Gratitude transforms survival into serenity. And in that stillness you find the purest kind of joy. Not the kind that needs reason, but the kind that simply is. Conclusion. The unshakable soul. So, what does it mean to be emotionally untouchable? It doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you've learned how to hold your feelings without letting them hold you. It means you've trained your mind like a warrior, calm under chaos, centered under pressure, compassionate even when the world isn't. The Stoics weren't born special, they practiced every single day. Negative visualization to prepare for loss. Control dichotomy to stay focused on what's theirs. Voluntary discomfort to grow stronger than comfort. Journaling to know themselves. Amor Fati to embrace life as it comes. Memento mori to live fully. Premeditatio laboris to face the day's chaos. Mindful speech to protect their peace. Solitude to hear their soul. And gratitude to find joy in every breath. These aren't philosophies to read once and forget. They are habits to live, slowly, patiently, every morning, every night. Because the goal isn't to escape emotions, it's to master them. To move through life with a still heart, no matter the noise around you. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. That's the essence of Stoicism. That's emotional invincibility. So the next time life tests you, pause. Remember these habits and whisper to yourself, "I am not what happens to me. I am how I choose to respond." Then smile and keep walking, calm, grounded, untouchable.